on today's show, we have Stephen Phillips and Nate Merchant with the show Going Home. How are you gentlemen this evening?
Doing great.
Doing awesome. Thanks for having us, guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you very much. It's great to be here.
Yeah, well, thanks again. And I think, Jacob, you almost said afternoon. Hey, that technically is correct. It's still the afternoon. It's still afternoon, so we're all good. Hey guys, well, if you could just take a second, introduce yourself to our listeners, let them know what your role is on the show Going Home, and then we can chat a little bit about, go a little further into detail on that.
Yeah, my name's Stephen Phillips, and I am the underscore composer for the show. Just finished our second season. In addition to writing the score, I also get to write some songs with Nate. So for me, it's a great kind of dual-edged gig in that regard to, access my songwriting in addition to my composing.
Sweet. I'm Nate Merchant. I am a songwriter producer, and I got to write a handful of songs for the show over the last couple seasons, and it's been a blast.
So Going Home, I mean, it's a great show, but the subject matter can be like, it can be a heavy subject matter, work in a hospice, kind of, end of life. Like, I mean, that's a very difficult story to tell, even just through film or like video. How do you guys approach like that kind of subject matter when you are writing music for something like that? Like, what's the process look like to, how do you tell that story through the music that you guys make?
Well, with regard to the score, that we just finished our second season, so we established a sound in the first season. You do hit on the challenge of the show is for the score to find that sweet spot, because these stories are very emotional and highly impactful. Loved ones losing loved ones, and I think Nate might agree with the songs as well. If we don't thread the needle just right, it could be too much, too heavy. So we just we listen to the beats of the story and just find that sweet spot where we support without, letting the emotional hammer down. I don't know, at least with the score. Nate can tell you a bit more about the songs, but I think Nate would probably agree it's a similar sort of path that we have to walk.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like the show does, cover death, which is intense, but it's also, I feel like it's more than that. It's, it's forgiveness and reconciliation and, all sorts of beautiful moments that happen between these loved ones when they know their fate is sort of sealed, and they kind of, get these moments where they get to get together with their family and kind of, tie up loose ends and, have difficult conversations. And I think the songs come into play to kind of put words to like some of those things, and honestly even just put music to something that's like really hard to talk about.
Yeah.
So I think it's like it was an interesting undertaking, because I don't think I'd ever written a song about death. You know what I mean? Like I write like a lot of pop songs and stuff, so like it was funny to be like, all right, we're writing a bunch of songs about dying, like what are we gonna do here? So
Yeah.
but I think it's like you figure out, at least for me, what helped lyrically is like seeing where I can see myself in the situations. And then, I think everybody's had a time where they had to, forgive someone close to them, and like, things like that, where you can kind of like dive into something that you've been through and then kind of write from that place.
So when you guys got into music and started songwriting, is film something you knew you wanted to do, or how'd you guys kind of find your way into composing for the television screen?
Well, for me, I come from a rock band background, but I always loved film. Growing up in Los Angeles, my family was in the business, and when I kept losing record deals, I just thought, well, if I don't really focus on writing, I don't know if I'm going to be able to have a career. And that
Mm-hmm.
was a good call. And I just caught some lucky breaks. And actually, Dan Merchant, the creator of Going Home, through a mutual friend, he gave me my first job in TV 20 years ago,
Wow.
for his show Strange Frequency, and I just never looked back. And I've been really fortunate to get gigs. I
Yeah.
started in comedy, but drama is really, I think, the place where I really wanted to land. So I was super grateful when Dan offered me the chance to score this show, because it's a real sweet spot for me. I don't know why. Some things you just can't explain, but that's
Yeah.
how I got into it.
Now, Steven, I just want to like verify comedy as in like writing for comedy shows. You weren't like stand up, right?
No, no,
Just
yeah,
making sure.
no, I would never do that. I'm
Okay,
horrific.
like when you said you started in comedy, I was like, wow, that's quite the jump from stand up to
No,
composer. I'm like, whoa.
I was really fortunate to just like I did a partner myself. We did the music for Reno 911 for a number of years. Lots of Comedy Central shows that transferred over to the Disney. I did a bunch of Disney comedies, but the whole time I really wanted to be doing stuff with a lot more meat on the bone. But this is where my work
Mm-hmm.
was coming from. So get paid to write music. I stayed where I was, but I made a conscious decision about
Guys,
8 years
tell
ago.
us about the theme song for going home, the way home. Tell us about that.
I lost you guys.
Yeah, I
So,
think you did cut out.
My internet's a little spotty. My apologies.
No,
It's
you're
okay.
good.
So just go ahead.
yeah, the theme song was done by an artist, Aaron Morgan. But to your previous question of like involvement in into making songs for the show and stuff, that was kind of my entrance into things. Obviously, my dad's the creator of the show. My mom was a writer on the thing, and I've been doing music for over a decade and whatever. So we heard the show was gonna start going on, and my dad asked Steven if we would take a stab at the theme, and so we ended up writing 2 songs to go up for the theme, and so both those songs that they thought would be maybe a better fit in the actual show, and so that was kind of how I kind of got into that side of it. Was like, oh, they fit in the show, that's great, and then they asked for more, and then we kind of went down the road from there.
Now, when you guys are writing music for the show, how hands-on or hands-off is like the director or the showrunner? Like, are they having conversations with you like, hey, we want it to feel this way? Or do you kind of have freedom to kind of like feel where do you want it to go? Like, what does that process look like? How do you balance that, right? Because I'm sure that there's times where you maybe feel something that's not what you're getting feedback on. And like, how do you kind of balance that and thread that needle?
Well, with regard to the score, what we do is we have what's called a spotting session before I dig in and really go to work. And basically, what that is for the audience
Yeah.
that might not know is we watch the whole show with Dan and my music editor and the film editor, and we discuss the spots where the music's supposed to go. So we watch the entire thing, and when we're done with that, I just go to work. We talk about hit this emotion, the story ramps up here, move with the beats, follow all the those sorts of emotional beat moments. But like I said earlier, we established a sound in the first season, and it's just worked so well, and we're just really oiled at this point. So it's almost, for lack of it's almost somewhat divine. It just the actors are just so great. The show is cut so well that I just know what Dan wants, and
Yeah.
we're just really on the same page. But it's those spotting sessions that are really important, because you have to deliver an hour, 40 minutes of score. You have a week to get your first look at it into Dan for comments. So those spotting sessions are really important for the score.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's a great like working experience when you all are meshing so well, and it's like that well-oiled machine that you kind of like are in each other's heads as far as like what the other wants, and then
Yeah,
it just like works together and just meshes together so well.
it really does. And trust me, I've had jobs where that on shows where that's not the case.
Yeah.
And it can be really uncomfortable. It's
Oh yeah.
so this is just everybody's on the same page, and it's really been great in that regard. And especially this season, I think, everybody's work really lifted up and rose to the occasion. I think, season 2 was really quite a bit. It was a big lift from season 1. I think we all felt it.
Yeah. I think you can see it, or you can hear it, I guess, in the show as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, and Nate can tell you a little more about the songs, how he approaches his when he's writing.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of an interesting situation, just being that, like, working with family and stuff. So it's like, I'm the guy I'm trying to get the song past is the guy who, when I was, you know, 8 years old on a road trip, he's like, "You haven't heard Werewolves of London by Warren Zevon," and he's turning it up, So like, that's like, I kind of have his taste implanted in my brain already. Like my first concert was The Who, and then we saw Tom Petty in the fourth row. So a lot of my taste in music was built by enjoying music with my dad. So I think it's something that we've always bonded over, and I think it made it really special to work on the show with him because it's one of the first times we've gotten to do that. And so um, he would put together playlists of songs that he likes and thought fit the theme of the show or the vibe, and we just kind of go from there. And yeah, and I think when me and Steven were working together, I think Steven shares a lot of the same musical heroes as my dad too. So
Yeah.
and I have to say too, Steven is like, there's something in this guy's hands when he touches the guitar. There's always a song coming out. Like we were we played a couple of the songs at the premiere up in Spokane a few weeks back, and we were there for the sound check, and they're kind of micing us up and everything, and Steven's just kind of noodling away, and I'm like, "What is that, dude?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm just playing." He's just always making something.
Man,
I'm like, "Dude, we can write 200 songs in a day, man. Like,
Yeah.
you're crazy." So it was
Yeah.
just a joy working with Steven too.
It's great. I think I've known Nate for about what, 12, 13 years now.
Yeah.
His dad said, "Hey, talk to my son. He's going, I think you studied music at University of Oregon." And I could see Nate was insanely talented, but it's been amazing to see him really grow and become a professional writer producer. So, you know, it, I'm not in the family, but I am, because it's really great. And just to say about Dan, if you took all of us, all 5 of us here, and put us together, he's probably a bigger music fan than all of us scrunched together. I mean, Dan, music is his life, and he is an encyclopedia of rock and roll music as well. So that makes it really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
really
awesome.
does.
Well, speaking of rock and roll music, I think we have some more like more specific questions for each of you, and I'll start with Nate. So I found out you worked with Duran Duran before.
Yeah.
And
so,
that makes me like super excited because I'm a huge Duran Duran fan. I've seen him in
Oh, cool.
concert like 3 times, and yeah, I just want to hear more about that because I'm
Sure,
a big
yeah.
fan.
Yeah, so I've known John for a handful of years, and John Taylor, the bassist, and yeah, so I was, he's always been sort of like a mentor figure to me and stuff, and I'd be sending him songs over the years and getting feedback, and there came a point around like the pandemic where I was just locked in a room for the whole year just writing songs and stuff, and so I had, you know, a handful of ideas that I thought were really cool, and I asked if I could come play him some music, and so I went over to his house and I played him the songs, and um, we just really connected over it, and he was, you know, giving me notes and wanted to dive in on stuff, and so we basically worked, you know, every week at my studio for like a year, and made an album, which ended up being my debut solo album. And yeah, it was a absolutely amazing experience, and learned a ton and had a bunch of fun. And yeah, that sort of led into like working on some of the Duran stuff. So I got to work on, you know, 8 songs on their last album. You know, recording John's bass and doing some additional production and things like that, which has been really cool. And he's just a dear friend and a wise man.
Excited it was on the radio, but I was like, I can't. I'm 16. I was like, I was so pumped. I was like, I got to see Duran Duran, and it cost me a bag of dog food. It was like the best. It was like the best thing ever.
That's awesome. What's
Right.
your favorite Duran album?
Jesse.
Did you hear that?
Jesse.
Nope.
Oh, I'm sorry. I lost you guys. I'm sorry. What was that?
Oh, I just asked what your favorite Duran album was.
I don't know the album, but it's the Reflex. I don't know what album that's on. The song The
Seven and
Reflex.
the Ragged Tiger.
I love that
That's
song.
a great
That's
song. Yep.
I love that, and the music video. I mean, everything about it is just it's awesome.
Well, of
Yeah,
course, there's
yeah,
nothing
great.
like Hungry Like the Wolf. I mean,
Classic.
So, Steven, this one's for you. I have a little one, 2-year-old, and ever since he got introduced to these little yellow people, he fell in love. But you got to work with composing some of the Minion shorts and commercials. How was that experience? And did you ever have to say banana?
No, it was a really amazing experience. And in the interest of full disclosure, my wife is a film editor, and at the time she worked at Illumination, which is the company owned by a gentleman named Chris Meledandri, who they produce all the movies, the Minion movies. And unbeknownst to me, she had put my hat in the ring when they were looking for composers for the shorts, and I lucked out and I got the gig. And I scored 2 shorts, which are attached to their big features when Minion movie came out. But then they hired me to do like 30 commercials. It was just so great. And the one I got to work really closely with Pierre Coffin, and Pierre is basically him and a gentleman named Chris Renault are the 2 guys that created the Minions, and Pierre is the voice of the Minion. And so we did one commercial. It was a cell phone. What they do when the movies come out, they do all these product placement partnerships. It's genius. And so, you know, hundreds of commercials are produced when the movies come out. And we did one for a cell phone company in China. And Pierre, it was just so fun because he would send me back like 500 tracks of him singing like 100 Minions. And it was really fun. It was really a cool experience. And now when I look at it on YouTube 8 years later, there's like 1 billion views. So it was a great
That's pretty cool.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
now, Steven, did you ever get to meet Steve Carell on any occasion, or?
No,
No.
I didn't. My wife did. She did many of the recording sessions with him, but no. And I'm a huge fan.
Yeah.
And I've had a lot of songs over the years in his various shows, like The Office, which was always really cool for me. But no, I didn't get to meet Steve.
Well, gentlemen, next we'd like to we do this thing called Favorite Things. It kind of gives our listeners a chance to get to know you a little more on a personal level. So we're going to ask you we're going to list a category, and if you could let us know what your favorite thing in that category is, kind of a rapid fire thing. But we'll start with an easy one. Do you have a favorite food?
Yeah, pizza, Italian for me.
I'm Italian
Solid.
too. Italian food lover. I'll say pasta. Pasta boy.
Pasta.
All right. Both carb loading
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, big time.
Yeah.
Do you all have a favorite movie?
I do. It's a real tough one. It's probably Godfather.
Mm,
All right.
those are good. or the Minions.
My answer to this is always Mad Max Fury Road, but I just saw Dune 2 twice this weekend, so that might be stealing the cake for me. I'm a big sci-fi guy.
Okay, since we have you guys, I'd actually like to kind of extend that question. What's your favorite movie soundtrack?
That's a really tough one for me, but I have to say I think John Williams' score to Jurassic Park is one of the absolute most incredible scores of all. I mean, he's done everything he does is brilliant, but if you listen to that main theme, you can just feel every single thing the dinosaurs were to this world, for me. And that whole score is my favorite.
I'd say Book of Eli is a favorite. Or honestly, Dune 2. I'm on a roll. Dune 2.
It's fresh. It's fresh, man. It's fresh.
You can see the age difference between Nate and I. Really.
Yeah.
Braveheart's another good soundtrack as well.
Yes, that is. I mean, there's so many. Thomas Newman, anything he scores to me is just brilliant too. But Jurassic Park, there's something about it.
Yeah,
for me.
Yeah, I love The Prince of Egypt. That's my go-to soundtrack.
Nice,
great movie.
Yeah, beautiful.
All right, do y'all have a favorite show to binge?
Nate, you go first.
I just went in on The Wire on HBO. This is probably my third watch through. I just watched the last episode last night. I'm a big fan. I also got the there's like a book, like an oral history of like how the actors got involved and stories from the directors and stuff. So I've been reading that, and I read too far ahead at one point. And I was like, Stringer Bell dies. I forgot Stringer Bell died. Like,
yeah.
dude. Yeah, The Wire for me.
I think for me it was Dexter. The early, first 3 or 4 seasons of Dexter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just thought was some incredible TV, and I binged it because I got to it late. So I think my wife and I spent 5 weeks doing nothing but watching Dexter. So I missed that show.
That's how.
We'll extend this question too. Do you have a favorite show as far as composing wise that you like?
Oh God. It's because all I do is analyze scores when I watch. It's so there's so much talent out there. There's so many wonderful. I'll tell you what. They had 2 composers. The show was a Showtime series with Bryan Cranston called Your Honor. I don't know if you guys saw that. Where the first season was Volker Bertelmann, who also goes by the name Hauschka, and he actually won the Oscar last year for a film. I was just so impressed with his work in that first season of Your Honor. He didn't do the second season, but that's one that stands out for me.
Yeah.
Incredible work.
Nate's going to say Dune 2.
Yeah, right.
Doing the miniseries. Do you guys know they made a miniseries?
Yeah, there it is.
I don't know if I have a favorite. I don't know, because I don't do scoring, so I don't listen to it as deeply. So it's actually a break for my ears for once. But I would say maybe the Game of Thrones open is really beautiful.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a favorite musical artist of all time? Do you have a top artist?
I'm going to be so boring, and it's the Beatles for me.
All right.
Hands down. Yeah.
Pre-America or post-hippie America phase and all that?
Oh, I'm like Rubber Soul on. I mean, I think it's all genius to listen to them evolve, but Rubber Soul on out is just, know. Yeah.
I got to go Radiohead.
Oh, yes. Right.
That's my number 2. Just so you know.
Just so we're clear. Yeah.
I was going to say the Beatles if you didn't say the Beatles, so we
covered both. So we got it covered.
Do you guys have a dream duet, someone that y'all would love to work with, sing with, play with?
For me, I think it would be Paul McCartney. I would love to sit down and play Blackbird and have him tell me I'm almost doing it right.
Compliment.
Almost there.
Almost there, yeah. Because he says that in his shows. If guys, I know a lot of you out there think you know how to play this song, but I'm telling you, you're not doing it right. So
Yeah.
I've really gone all the extra mile to I think I have it. So, but he'd still tell me I don't, which would be amazing.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's like some legend I could pick that would be better, but I really love this dude, John Bellion.
Yeah.
He's like a writer producer, but he's put out a bunch of solo albums, and he's like the producer's producer. So like all my producer buddies just like love him, and he's like referenced all the time. And I just think he'd be fun to hang out with and just like get in the studio and make a song with, and just see what we could do.
Yeah, I love a remake of a Switchfoot song that he did recently. Did you hear that?
Oh,
He
cool.
redid "Meant to Live." It was so good.
Oh, that's awesome! I didn't hear that. I gotta check it out.
Yeah, it was good.
That sounds like my childhood.
Yeah, I know, right?
Man.
All right. Do y'all have a favorite ice cream flavor?
Oh yeah, peanut butter and chocolate, all the way.
Well, he's frozen, so I'll say Tillamook Utterly Chocolate.
Am I back?
Yes.
Yep, you're back now.
Peanut butter and chocolate, hands down.
Ooh.
Okay, so
Classic.
like Moose Tracks or just peanut butter and chocolate?
Peanut butter and chocolate, like
Okay.
just with the hearty, I just love it.
Peanut butter swirl in it.
Big
Yeah,
chunks.
well, I'm eating
Reese's,
pizza,
anything.
I really eat better than that. I promise.
Sounds like Italian food and chocolate ice cream.
Well, it's not fun to say like, oh, salmon and asparagus for like my favorite food.
Yeah,
It's like
no. Let's
that's not
yeah,
good.
yeah, it's not your
That's fun to
favorite.
say.
lettuce wraps and
Yeah, right.
We asked what your favorite was, not what you eat all the time.
Yeah,
we
right.
know that you don't eat nothing all the time. Do you
Right.
guys have a favorite podcast that you enjoy listening to?
Oh, I just finished Rob Reiner's Who Killed JFK. It was amazing. I don't know if you guys have heard that, but it was really
I haven't listened to it yet.
It's incredible.
Mm.
I couldn't recommend it enough.
Yeah, I'll check
like,
it out. I love history documentaries.
Oh, me too. I'm on those all the time, man. You can get down some crazy ones though on the JFK stuff. I like And the Writer Is. This guy Ross Golan, who's like a pop songwriter, hosts it, and they bring on like all kinds of songwriters and artists and stuff, and talk about their journey to where they are, and how they write songs and stuff like that. So good studying and inspiration for me.
Yeah. Well, what's next for you guys, and how can our listeners keep up with you all?
I'm about to start a series, which I'm excited. I'm not done negotiating it, but it's a documentary for Hulu about country music.
I don't know if you can hear us, but we lost you there.
Can you hear me now? You go,
Yes.
Nate,
Yeah,
you go.
we lost you for a second.
Oh, I'm about to start a documentary series for Hulu called "It's All Country." It's for a client I've worked for a lot, and it's hosted by Luke Bryan, and it seems like a super interesting show. And I'm basically going to do all the underscore for it. There's a lot of music in the show because they're writing songs with unknown artists and documenting it. So I'm scoring all the documentary moments. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Let's see what's for me. I mean, last week started on the new Duran record, which was exciting. I've got a song that I wrote for 30 Seconds to Mars on the radio right now, so trying to capitalize off of that, doing a lot of pop
Awesome.
songwriting sessions and stuff like that. And yeah, just living life, getting married in September, so planning a wedding.
Awesome.
But yeah,
You're busy then.
Very busy. Yes, I'm in a supporting role, though, I will say.
There you go. Good guy.
Good boy.
Yeah.
Just keep that up and you'll be all right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, Nate Merchant, Stephen Phillips, thank you both so much for taking the time to talk with us today. We certainly enjoyed it, and thanks for giving us kind of a peek behind the curtain on what it looks like making music for a show. We certainly appreciate you guys.
Oh, thanks for having us. It's
Yeah.
really
that was
great.
fun.
Thank you.
Going
Awesome.
home. Going Home season 2 is streaming now on is Amazon Prime. Where else is it streaming?
Pureflix.
Pureflix. Okay.
Pureflix.com. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. We're hoping for more Amazon down the road. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
more people see it. Yeah.
Awesome.